If you want to get more customers in your business, if you want to get more sales in your business, then you need to learn how to validate ideas faster. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. My name's Christopher Huntley from teachingrevolution.com, where we help you sell the knowledge you already have to people who need it. And today I'm going to show you how to validate your offer in just 24 hours or less. And yes, you can do it. So first, why do you need to validate your offer at all? Most people don't do this, so why do you need to do it? You see, what most people do is they come up with an idea and they think, this would be great. I bet my audience would love this. Maybe 1 out of 20 times they're right and it works. And then they do that same process again later. But most people try that, it doesn't work, and then they just throw everything out and they say, okay, that didn't work. I need to completely change directions. And that's not necessarily true. What you need to do is validate the offer before you actually sell the offer in public. So that means that you're only making the offer to a select group of people for testing purposes. You need to test the offer before you officially launch it to your entire audience. And by the way, shout out to everybody in the 10K Club and my Accelerator All-Stars. Some of the businesses I work with are just getting off the ground. Maybe they really are just a concept or an idea at this point, and they don't have an audience. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can validate an offer if you have no audience, if you're just using an organic audience, or if you're using ads, because there are different ways that you can do this. Offer validation actually gives you the information that you need in order for you to iterate your offer. And that means that you need to change your offer. A lot of people think I make an offer and then that's it, and I just stick to my offer. But that's not true. If your offer isn't changing, isn't improving, then it's never going to get better results. And even if you started with great results, if you put your offer out there and people gave you great feedback on it, and maybe even some people bought, that doesn't mean that it's not going to change in the future. And when I say that you need to change your offer over time, I'm just talking about the offer. And sometimes you're not even really changing what you're offering, but you're just changing how you present that to people. We need to be clear. An offer is different from a product or a service. These are completely different things. The offer is what you sell. The product or service is what you give them. And people don't want to hear a big list of features and benefits. They want to understand how it's going to impact them, the results they're going to see, the outcome that they're going to reach. And you want to focus your offer on that. That's stuff that they want to hear now, so they can be confident enough to make the purchase, to join, to get what you're offering. And then that's when you actually give them all the features and benefits that will help them get to the result that they want to achieve. So if you have no audience at all, if you're just getting started, if that's what you're doing, that's the stage that you're at right now, or maybe it's just a concept or it's just an idea, this is how you're going to validate your offer. You have to start with the basics. And I know that that's going to sound annoying and frustrating, but so many people skip the basics because they think, well, that's too basic for me to do. But that's not true. The successful people are the people who can continually do the basics over and over again. So if you're starting from scratch, you need to go back to the basics. So who is your audience? Before you can make an offer, you need to know who you're offering it to. These two things are inextricably linked, and you need to know who you're making the offer to in order for you to make the right offer. So if you're starting from zero, you can put together what you think the right offer is based on the audience that you have, but you can also just ask them. You can send them a message and you can say, hey, I'm doing this thing. I have this idea that maybe I will have this offer later. And you put that idea out there to them and you see what their response is. And you see how people react to that. So many people who are getting started, starting from scratch, they don't even do that step. And it can greatly, greatly improve the results that you get from your offer. So once you've got your audience and you have an idea of what they want and you've defined your offer, the next step is that you need to create a personalized outreach message. And because you have no audience, you have to identify people who align with who you think your target audience is, and you need to contact them. And in your message, you need to be able to grab their attention so that they'll open the message and they'll read the message. Then you need to be able to get them to either engage or go straight into booking a call with you or signing up for a free resource that you're offering. But typically this is going to lead to some kind of mini sales conversation. But at this point in the conversation, it's not so much about sales, it's more about what they need and how you can offer that. Now, in our 10K Club community, we recently had a workshop on different tools that you can use to generate these lists of targeted audience members and make it a lot easier on yourself. So you don't have to scroll through Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, and you can still find your target audience and then you can send them messages. But if you're starting with no audience, then the first task that you're doing in your business, the real task, is to build your list of target audience members. And you're going to build the right list by making the right offer, by telling them that you can help them with the right things. You're basically making a list of people who need a specific problem solved. When you do your personal outreach like this, you're going to start generating this list, building this list of people that you can then follow up with later. Now, another big mistake that people who are just getting started with no audience make is that they don't track the results of their outreach. So they just send a bunch of messages and maybe they follow up with a couple of them like 1 or 2 times. And then they say, okay, they're not interested. But that's not true. People need lots of touch points. You need at least 7 to 13 touch points before a person's going to feel comfortable making a purchase from you. So you want to get in those touch points as much as you can. And that's why you're not just jumping straight into an offer in this conversation with them. You're actually doing some preparatory work to get them warmed up, to get them to the point where you can make the offer by tracking how many people opened the message, how many people clicked the link, how many people booked the call, how many people signed up for your free thing. All of those metrics need to be measured so you can improve on what you're doing. And to be honest with you, most people suck at this when they first start. Most people have a terrible response rate or call booking rate. They give up because it's not working so well for them. But the thing is, when you have no audience, what you're really looking for is anything that works even a little bit. And then you want to refine that, perfect that, and that is what is really going to give you results. It's not the first message that you send is going to bring you a sale. It's the 100th message that you send is going to be better than the first one. Now let's switch gears, because if you already have an organic audience, if you have some followers, if you have some subscribers, if you have an email list, then you've probably already done a lot of these basics. You're not list building at this point, and you've already got an audience that you've collected around certain ideas. So you need to take your new offer idea and you need to make it simple. You need to make it clear. A lot of times the business owners that I work with at this stage, they aren't clear in their messaging. One problem that I see all the time is people trying to be cute or creative instead of just being clear about what it is. And that is confusing to the audience, and it makes it much harder for you to get their attention and keep their attention and then actually transition that into engagement and then intent to purchase. So you want to be able to explain this offer in one sentence. The fewer words that are required to explain what this is and what it does for them, the better. And when you've done that, you can now go to your existing audience and you can create engagement with them. And so here we're doing basically what we would do if we were starting from scratch, but instead of just doing messages, we actually have a place, a list, a platform, a social media profile where we can post and we can get people to engage with us, and we can share this message with a bigger audience who's going to help us test it. So it's not so much different from those of you who don't have an audience, but you do have this extra resource that you've already collected the audience in one place. And that will increase the speed with which you can test and validate. One of the big mistakes I see with entrepreneurs who already have an audience is that they mistake engagement for results. You're not just trying to get them to engage. That doesn't validate anything, really. The engagement can be a good signal that there is interest, but you need to be able to convert that engagement into a sales conversation. So that's why you'll see a lot of people posting and then saying, if you want to get this thing that I'm talking about in my post, then comment this word under the post. Or if you want to get this thing that I'm offering, then send me a message. What they're doing is transitioning the engagement into either a registration for something that they can get immediately and that will have an impact immediately, or they're transitioning engagement into a sales conversation that then will lead to presenting this offer. I recently did this with a client who was testing an offer. It was the second or third iteration of the offer, and we used Facebook groups where his target audience was already discussing things. And he went to those groups and he just posted something that was more authentic and less pushy than what everyone else was posting. But it still provided a lot of value and still included a call to action so that they knew what to do next. After we did that a few times, we found the winning message. We found what we needed to say and what we needed to offer so that people would transition from just liking and commenting and actually have meaningful sales conversations that then converted into customers. So if you're using an organic audience, this can be a great way to do it. It doesn't have to be a Facebook group. You can use all kinds of different platforms and just find where the audience already is, engage with them, and be honest about the data that you get back. This is so key. And so many people mess this up because they put their own biases into the results. So they think that they've validated something that they haven't because they just told themselves that it works. I had this idea and this idea was great, but instead you need other people to say that idea is great. I really want that. And basically for them to push back to you and say, hey, you told me about that offer. When is that going to be available? You want them to feel like that. You want them chasing the offer, not you shoving the offer in their face. Now, my favorite way to validate an offer is using ads. It's my favorite because it's the fastest and because you get so much feedback so quickly, and you know that this is the audience that you want to have. And typically people who come from ads will have more intent because they had to click an ad in order to get there. So when you're doing it with an organic audience or when you're just reaching out to people, you run the risk of the wrong people seeing it. The platform can push your message to a lot of people. You can send messages to the wrong people. And sometimes you're putting your offer in front of faces that aren't really interested, even if they engage. Right? That's that engagement lie that we were talking about earlier, that so many business owners make the mistake of saying that engagement is validating something. But with ads, they actually have to click an ad. They see that it's an ad, they know it's an ad, and so they already know that there's an offer coming. And that's why I really like to use this to validate offers, but it is more expensive than the other ways. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna have a page that has very, very simple language. You're not gonna have all the extra features and all the cool stuff on the page. It's probably gonna be an ugly page, but it's just going to have a headline that tells them exactly what this is, maybe a video or an image under that, and it's gonna have a button for them to take the next step. And taking that next step is going to be them opting in, them giving you some contact information for them to then go to the next step. This will show you the minimum amount of intent required to validate this offer because some of those people will buy and some of them won't. Now, you could stop with just a page that gets their information and then tell them that this offer is coming soon. So you don't even have to really make anything. But what you could also do is if you have something that you can deliver to them immediately, you could take them then to a checkout page after they've opted in and actually let them pay and buy. And that is the true way to validate an offer. You have to get buyers, you have to get customers. People can say it's a great offer, they can engage, they can have a conversation with you, but until you get a decent number of people who have bought this offer, it doesn't mean anything. And I often get the question, how many customers does it take to really validate an offer? And that depends, because it depends on the price that you're selling at. If you're selling something high ticket, then validating the offer requires less customers than if you're selling something low ticket. Now, what is high ticket? What is low ticket? Those are open to interpretation, right? But let's say if you're selling something $2,000 or more, then you're gonna need at least 10 customers to say that this offer is somewhat validated. If you're selling something for under $100, then you're going to need 100 customers or more to really validate that this offer works, people want this offer. And when we're saying these numbers, we're really comparing that to how much we spent to get in front of those people or how much time it took to get in front of those people, or how many steps we had to take to get in front of those people. So this is how we validate offers. And you're going to bring people to that page, to that offer, through ads. So we really need to understand what message gets attention on the ad platforms, what message keeps that attention and turns it into greater intent on the landing page, and then what message on the checkout page pushes them to buy now. And that's how you can validate an offer with ads. In all three situations, you need to track your results. This is where everybody goes wrong. They just don't want to track their results. But that's where you get the real data about if this works or not. So if you're wanting to validate your offer so that you really know what works, before you dump a ton of money and a ton of time and energy into this, you need to track your results to have true data. And you need to not fool yourself to think that you validated it just because it's your idea. And I've helped thousands of people craft the right offer, validate the offer, and then take that to market. And sometimes that's a $5 offer, sometimes that's a $5,000 offer, sometimes that's a $50,000 offer. So if you feel like it would be useful for me to take a look at your offer and give you some feedback on that, click the link under this video. But now you know the process for validating an offer very quickly, so you know what works and what doesn't work, which is very, very important, and most people miss that. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you press like, press subscribe, and in the comments, let me know what topics you want me to talk about in my next videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.